I'm Sable Aradia, and welcome to Sit for a Spell with Sable. I'm going to be doing this approximately bi-weekly. This is my Coven's Temple room, and I'm here to show you some basic spell work. I'm going to do a different just a quick spell every time, and if you have any questions, you can contact me at my website, which is sablearadia.webs.com. Alright, so today we're going to make a little herb pocket, which is designed to be carried with you. You can do different types of herbs and they'll mean different things. I'll give you a rundown of some basic stuff you'll find in your kitchen or just around, and some of the more traditional witchy herbs as well. I'm going to put together a spell for my personal prosperity today because I've been pretty broke. So I've chosen a a gold pocket because, well, it was either gold or green would be the appropriate colors for financial well-being. I didn't have a green one. I have a gold one. That's the cool thing about magic when you're doing spell crafting. It's like recipes. Substitutes are expected. So, I've got a bunch of different culinary herbs here. I'm going to show you what they are and basically what they do. I brought this because time is all about time, right? It makes sense. It's, it's in the name. So I'm actually going to do a little charm that my friend Mitch showed me afterwards too. These are cloves. Cloves are used in love magic, or they're used in financial prosperity magic. Basil. This is your traditional herb of love. This is used by the Italian folk witchcraft tradition, the strega. It's made it into common witchcraft lore as a result of that, because it's a fairly common culinary herb. It's associated with Aphrodite, so that would be why it's used for that. Nutmeg is for prosperity as well, and it's also been used to banish hexes, so that's another good one. I did the cloves. Ginger. I brought this for my culinary herb mixture that I'm doing for prosperity. Ginger is associated with Mars, so it's also good for protection and for anything where you need a lot of energy in the action. Bay leaves are associated with the sun. They're for prosperity, justice, success in legal matters, protection. These are the kind of things you can do with that. Mint. It depends on what kind of mint, right? Most mint leaves will be peppermint unless they say otherwise when you buy them for culinary purposes. Peppermint is another Mars herb, and it's energetic, so it would be to empower things. It's, again, another prosperity one. Spearmint is a softer herb, and it's associated with Mercury and the element of air, so different things in your spell work. Now, if you don't know what to use for an herb, use rosemary. It's sort of the catch-all. Excuse me. It's also for chastity and to preserve a love. Excuse me. I'm dry throat. Now I brought a bunch of little things from my shop. Sweet woodruff. It's, when you find it in the wild, it's a little 5-leafed plant with little tiny white flowers on it, which bloom around Beltane. So it's traditionally used in May wine for Beltane. It's a euphoric. So you put a little bit of it in your wine. It makes you feel good, right? It just induces a happy mood. So it's associated with that kind of energy. Joy, love, well-being. Rose petals. Well, roses, love, obviously, sacred to Aphrodite and Venus. They're also good for fertility magic. So is mint, incidentally. I should have mentioned that before. Yeah, comfrey. Comfrey averts accidents when used in this manner. You can find this growing all over, well, I live in the Okanagan Valley in BC, Canada, and you can find it growing wild all over the place. It's a weed. It has these big green leaves, and the plant gets to be, you know, about that tall in the summer. It's got little prickly things on the back of it which will leave an irritation on your fingers when you pick it, so you might want to use gloves. Mistletoe. Sort of the master druid herb. Good for empowering spells, for protection, for love, right? That's why kissing under the mistletoe is supposed to be such a good omen around Yuletide. And it's also called in some circles heal all. So if you're looking to do healing magic, it's good for that. I brought the cinnamon to put into my prosperity spell. Cinnamon is a Mars herb again. It's very fiery, energetic. It's also used in love magic. So, now what is that? More time. Witch hazel. Witch hazel is good for enchantments. So if you're doing something that is, say, I don't know, say you're looking for a new job and you want to look more impressive to the people who might be hiring you, right? Win them over, so to speak, improve your charisma. That's the kind of thing you would use. Sage is an herb of Jupiter. There's not a lot of those, so it's kind of valuable when you find one. Sage and borage are the ones that I'm familiar with. It's also associated with elemental air. It's good for memory and for wisdom, you know, knowledge of the sage, so to speak. That's what it's of benefit for. St. John's wort. St. John's wort is a very powerful solar herb. It is traditionally harvested around the summer solstice, so it has that kind of energy to it. It's one of the reasons why, from a witch's logic with sympathetic magic, that it's good for fighting depression, as we know through herbal medicine. But it's also good for protection, and it's also good for prosperity because of the solar associations, and I'll probably throw a little bit of that into my talisman as well. Now, elder twigs. This is something that I get from voodoo and hoodoo tradition. It doesn't tend to be used a lot in the Western witchcraft tradition, but I don't see why it shouldn't be. It banishes hexes or induces them. So that's kind of interesting to know. Lavender, elemental air, Mercury, Venus. It's good for relaxation, for love, happiness. Studying for a test. A good combination you might want to do is lavender and sage. And that would be really useful for maintaining memory of what you're studying and also being clear of mind when you sit down to write the test. So, vervain is an herb of love. It's one of the traditional witches' herbs. Different types of vervain and verbena are often confused for each other. So, you know what you're getting into. I like to separate them because of their herbal medicine properties as well. It's good for relaxation and sleep also. Linden. Now, this isn't a commonly used herb, but I thought I would mention it because it's for peace, right? Linden flowers are for peace. So if you're looking to create a more peaceful environment, say you've been living with some roommates and they're, fighting all the time and things are tense in the house, and you might want to put some linden in with some St. John's wort, maybe some lavender, and that should facilitate communication as well as bring a more peaceful environment to the house, and it might smooth things over. So now there's verbena as opposed to vervain. See, there's some differences there in terms of coloration and shape. Vervain is an herb of love. Verbena is more for psychic ability and that kind of thing. So, rue. Rue is the traditional herb of banishing, and it's also used in love magic, especially when you're protecting a love that may be threatened. very traditional witch's herb. It doesn't grow very well here. I've got this rue plant that, you know, it'll come back every year, but it never gets more than about that high, and it's spindly, and I never get a lot out of it. So I unfortunately have to buy more. It's my personal belief that if you can grow your own herbs, that's great, because then you imbue them with your energy, or wildcraft them if you can. Now, mugwort. Mugwort is used in seeking visions. It's associated with more dark energies like Saturn. It's sacred to Hecate. It opens your third eye, and it's also used for courage and protection. So, a couple of different things. Now, what I'm going to do is, again, it's going to be a prosperity charm, because I could use some of that right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the appropriate herbs into a little bit of tin foil. If you're going to use tin foil, then try to use the reflective side inward, because that holds in the magic. Right? Because this, as you can see, it's porous and it might lose some of the herbs. So now, of course, you should do this within a cast circle. I'm not going to tell you how to cast a circle. I assume if you're a witch, you know this by now, and if not, there's lots of people who can teach you how to do that. It's all over the internet. I'm sure there's videos on YouTube that'll teach you to do it as well. I'm already in a sacred space. I'm in a temple. It's been consecrated, so I am aware of my sacred space while I'm working. Call upon divinity as you see fit. And then you put in the herbs that you're using and are aware of why you're putting them in. Now, it's kind of neat that a prosperity ritual will, you can, if you just remember pumpkin pie spices, right, that's the ones that tend to draw that prosperity when used. Although I am going to throw in some St. John's wort too, just because I have it and I can. Clover too. Take that off. I think 3, because 3 is the number of the goddess. A little bit of ginger. And there's some nutmeg around here somewhere. I don't know what I did with it. Did I mention nutmeg? Ah, there it is, hiding. And for extra bolster of success, I'm also going to add bay leaves. This one hasn't been opened yet, I guess. I think just 1 bay leaf will be sufficient because we don't have a lot of room in there. And my St. John's wort, hiding in here somewhere. There it is. Now then, fold it up so that you maintain all the herbs in the little packet. You don't have to use the tin foil. It's just that I'm choosing not to lose it through this porous bag here. And the shininess is good for what I'm after because that implies money and coinage, right? So now what you do is you imbue it with the energy of all 4 elements. Traditionally, of course, in witchcraft, salt represents the element of earth. So you say, by the power of earth, water, fire. You don't actually stick these in the flames generally. You can, but you know, be careful. And for air, you can use incense, or you can do what I like to do, which is breathe life into it. Using the pentacle as your focus, because that's part of what its purpose is in magic. You can use your wand or your othame or your finger or your hands to direct energy. I'm doing a summoning pentagram on here to imbue spiritual energy into it. And I say something to the effect of, I consecrate you and charge you to your purpose, which is to bring me prosperity and wealth. By the power of 3 times 3, as I will, so mote it be. And now you take your little bag and you would keep it on you, perhaps in a pocket, or you could wear it around your neck. When you're sleeping, you should put it in your pillow or on your bedstand, somewhere close by you, and hold on to it until such time as the charm has been fulfilled. And I'll leave the removal of charms for another day. Now the last thing I'm going to do, because I happen to have this and I think it's neat little tidbits of folk wisdom. My friend Mitch, who's one of my coveners, was raised in a pagan family, which I wasn't, and she knows all kinds of little folk magic charms. One thing she told me that I thought was very cool is that when her mother's coven got together and they did spell work, they would put a little thyme on their hands and rub it into their hands to give themselves more time. Right? It's very logical. And I found this very effective. She just showed this to me recently. I had a great day where it seemed like I had infinite time for everything. So I'm going to do that. And that's it for today. I'll see you in a couple weeks. Merry meet.